Hello, I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends. Got an unusually short video for you today, but that's okay because it's not going to take me too long to make this point. I want to talk about the Ochakov, and also high explosive penetration. Notice I am fighting the Ochakov, and I am using the Tier 7 premium Japanese light cruiser Suzuya to do it. Now, the Suzuya and Ochakov have something in common. They fundamentally have the same caliber guns. Both are light cruisers, and the designation of light, when applied to cruiser, refers primarily to the ship's gun size. So, light cruisers are cruisers with guns in the range of 150-something millimeters in size, and then your heavy cruisers have 203mm guns or larger. Now, the Suzuya has 155mm guns, Ochakov 152, but for the purposes of high explosive penetration, these guns should theoretically be the same. Under normal high explosive penetration rules, which are determined by taking the gun caliber and dividing that number by 6 in order to figure out what the armor threshold is that the high explosive can penetrate, 155mm guns on the Suzuya can only pen 25mm of armor. If you want to pen more than 25mm of armor with light cruiser high explosive, then you have to either be German, or you have to use the Equilibrium of Power commander skill. Of course, the Suzuya does not have access to that skill, because none of the Japanese cruiser commanders have Equilibrium of Power, so it's stuck with the base 25mm of penetration. And you'll notice that throughout the course of this duel with the Ochakov, I have been shattering an awful lot of high explosive against his hull. See that salvo there? We get 1 penetration in the superstructure and 4 shatters on the hull. Why is this? Well, it's because the hull is covered in 26mm of armor on the Ochakov. And this is a very unusual value. You only find it on Russian cruisers, Russian light cruisers at this tier. Basically, at tier 7, any cruiser that doesn't have 27mm of armor plating or more has 25mm of armor plating. So, you know, the heavily armored cruisers would be things like the Baltimore, the Wichita, the Hipper, the Prinz Eugen. These have 27mm of plating. But the Suzuya, the Ochakov, or rather, not the Ochakov, the Suzuya, Cleveland, Mogami, Otago, more lightly armored cruisers, they all have 25mm of plating, which means they can be penetrated by light cruiser caliber HE, even if the light cruiser is not using the Equilibrium of Power skill. But the Ochakov is immune to high explosive penetration from light cruiser HE, unless the light cruiser is using the Equilibrium of Power skill. Again, obviously this is a problem for the Suzuya in particular, because it can't use the Equilibrium of Power skill. But, in my mind, it's a problem for another reason. So I took the Ochakov out into an AI match to prove a point, and notice there's a Nagato around this corner. Now, the Nagato is a Tier 6 battleship, and Tier 6 battleships tend to have 26mm of armor on the bow and often on the sides. So, take a look at this. I'm shooting directly at the Nagato's bow, and I'm getting no shatters whatsoever. I'm getting all penetrations. You might think I'm getting all of this because I'm using EOP on my Ochakov's commander, but no. The Ochakov gets special penetration rules for its high explosive. Instead of taking its 152mm guns and dividing by 6 to see the armor threshold, you take it and divide by 5. So the Ochakov can already pen 26mm of armor without the benefit of Equilibrium of Power. And this is not true for any other light cruiser at Tier 7. All of them have to use Equilibrium of Power if they want to penetrate more than 25mm of armor. So what you have is a situation where the Ochakov can penetrate its own armor without having to use EOP, but no other light cruiser in the game can penetrate its armor without using EOP. And that is what you call balance. But if you want actual balance, how about allow the IJN cruisers and every other cruiser line with light cruisers to have access to EOP, or nerf the Ochakov's armor to 25 millimeters, where it probably should be. And for that matter, you'd have to do the same thing to the Kutuzov and Chapayev, because I think they also have 26 millimeters of armor. But I just wanted to let you guys all know this and show you a video of it in action, because I really wasn't aware of this fact until I found out the hard way in that duel with the Ochakov using the Suzuya. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.